Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Should You Pull video for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. So today's video we're going to be talking about Diablos' event, and Diablos' event actually comes with two banners, one of which features Aerith's EX realisation and Wakka getting an EX weapon for the first time, and then a second banner that features Sabin and my boy Kuja and their EX weapons. You can also obtain Vaan without his EX and Deuce without hers, but realistically we don't tend to talk very heavily about those characters ordinarily. However, when it comes to farming Diablos, if you have Vaan 35, then it will carry your super synergy for pretty much the entire time that you'll be fighting Diablos. So if you'd like to find out more about Diablos' chaos and the event itself, as well as the banners on there, and ultimately whether you should pull for some of these characters or not, then stay tuned and keep on watching. As always guys, don't forget to check out all of the social media links in the description box below, including Twitter, Twitch and Discord. This week on Twitch I'll be obviously farming Diablos' summon board, so I would love to have all the company that I can get for that for tomorrow, and then I'm actually going to be running through the Dimensions End entropy tiers again, using different characters who I used the first time, because I want to make some videos showing people how I went through all of Dimensions End and not just the newest one as it came out. And then on Sunday, thanks to the huge success of the offline mode stream, thank you to everybody that turned up for that, I am actually going to be continuing with that account on a Sunday. So if you want to kind of see how far you can get within Opera Omnia without having to pull at all, turns out it's actually pretty far, so come and check that out. And of course with Patreon as well, I always shout out one of my random patrons to say thank you very much to those who support the channel further, and today that person is going to be Coco. So thank you ever so much for your support, I appreciate it hugely, and if you would like a title card just like Coco has here, then be sure to check out the link in the description box of Patreon as well. Don't forget to check out Tombury Troop, DissidiaDB.com, DissidiaInfo.com, and of course all of the other content creators for Opera Omnia, because we all love your support just as much as I do. In terms of Diablos' event itself, or the summon board and farming it and the chaos portion of the event, Diablos actually isn't too difficult a boss to deal with in both aspects. In terms of the summon board farming, he's a single target boss, so he's going to suffer to any friend unit, Leo or Aranea or anyone with mass delay. He's just going to fall over to them. So the best thing that you can do is to take a super synergy character, ideally Vaan. Even with just his 35 CP, he still dishes out enough damage that he definitely contributes to the fight, whereas Aerith kind of needs to be purpled. Wakka is fine, but he doesn't do as much damage as Vaan does, and then Deuce, Sabin and Kuja aren't as strong, and it depresses me to say that because obviously we know how much I love Kuja, but they're just not quite as powerful as even Vaan with a 35 CP would be, so I would suggest bringing him along. And then if you take Vaan, for example, a stronger character and then a weaker character that you plan to just get the summon board rewards out of, then you can switch them out for a friend Leo and then just go to town on Diablos, and that should be the summon board pretty much sorted for you. You won't have to worry about much once you start getting into the groove of it and doing it that way. In terms of the chaos, he's still not a hugely difficult boss either, because his entire shtick is raising his own HP damage. He has to be able to do HP damage in order to get that far. He does start with his recast bar automatically, and his recast attack is quite scary. It's a AoE Brave HP attack that gives a field effect or a buff to him that raises any HP damage that he deals. He does have some fairly nasty attacks like Gravigia, which gives you turn rate down and reduces your bravery to 1. He also has like quite regular HP attacks, but all of them, except for his recast attack, are single target. So as long as you bring somebody that can lock Diablos to that character, so Warrior of Light or Zac or anything like that, even Galoof, I mean a lot of his attacks are magical, so Galoof isn't going to be perfect for it, but he still will dodge a lot of stuff. Shadow even could work, or Edge will work very nicely here as well. Then you have a lot of options when it comes to fighting him, or at least warding off the attacks that he does. Delay shenanigans do work on Diablos, however it's important to bear in mind that Diablos resists melee attacks in the chaos fight, so characters like Leo and Vayne will have a slightly more difficult time, whereas characters like Aranea will perform absolutely fine and as intended. If you do want to bring Leo and Vayne along with you, as something that I have considered doing, I was considering my team being Leo and Vayne and Lulu, because if you can imperil and enchant your party, then you could always just get around the melee resist down altogether. Equally, if you have lightning around, then she'll perform the same function because she imperils lightning and enchants herself with thunder. So you've got that to bear in mind as well. Like if you wanted to bring Edge and lightning, then you're going to make absolute mincemeat out of Diablos. If you did want to do any kind of delay shenanigans, then that's going to work really well as well. So honestly, this shouldn't be too difficult a fight for you as long as you know what you're getting into. So now we get into the portion of the video where we talk about any new characters or new equipment for characters that are coming into the fray. Like I said at the beginning of the video, there are actually 2 banners on this particular event, one of which has Aerith and Wakka and Varn in it, and the second of which has Deuce and Sabin and Kuja. Now, Sabin and Kuja's banner only features their EXs, and there's nothing new coming along with those, so while I will still cover that in the should you pull portion of the video, there's nothing to cover that's new within the character section. So the first character that we're going to talk about is going to be Aerith. Now, Aerith doesn't have like a rework or anything like that. What she does, however, get is an EX realization, and it does fix a lot of her issues. Now, Aerith's main thing is that her auras and things that she provides are extremely potent. She has very high attack up, Brave Overflow, it's quite fast on the recast rate for Fury Brand, it's actually very, very powerful. However, her capabilities to deal damage was very, very low, and she couldn't really contribute much to the fight itself. She was very much another one of these silent partners that didn't really do a lot to the fight itself. Her EX Plus does help that quite a lot. So, Fury Brand, as you can see, gives a large amount of party Brave Overflow and party attack power, and it also gives her Last Stand without an EX realization. But when you have her realization, she actually uses HP attacks when she uses Fury Brand straight away, which is really helpful because it means that she's actually contributing to the fight in a nice way while still providing all of these nice buffs. She also gets a large, huge stat buff out of her 1 out of 3, much bigger than most characters, that make her a bit more offensively inclined. And then she also gets the ability to increase gained Brave Overflow as well as damage Brave Overflow on top of it. And then she also starts with all her buffs, and then when she uses Fury Brand, then her frame buff lasts that much longer. When you 3 out of 3 it, increases the recast speed of Fury Brand again. Now this is actually much more important than you might think, because Aerith relies very heavily on her HP attack, because her skills are a little bit lackluster. You generally only tend to use Healing Wind to battery, and you tend to only use her Prayer of the Cetra when you want to reset her buffs. So the fact that she gets a massive HP attack, and it is really powerful, on top of the fact that you get the recast rate of Fury Brand increased, it means her longevity is that much stronger. And then when you use Fury Brand, it also increases the game bravery overflow limit, that is a hard thing to say, by 30% on top of the 20% that she got from her 2 out of 3. So that's actually really strong. And then the attack that she does after it becomes a 3-hit Brave HP attack instead of just an 8 HP attack, which can also overflow further. But the HP attack plus that she gets is a 3-hit Brave HP attack with 120% overflow. Bear in mind that her aura actually increases this much, much further, and her bravery attack obviously batteries the party as well. So she's a very well-rounded support character, and her HP attack plus is actually very strong. The issue I have with Aerith is that, despite all these amazing auras and everything, if the best thing about your kit is your HP attack, and her HP attack is really good, but it's no Retributive Blast of Hopes, and it's no High Boost Lance of Araneas, I take a little bit of an issue with your kit. The Brave Overflow is the big thing that you want from Aerith, so if that's what you're after, then you will get it in spades with her. She is not a bad character at all. She's actually a very good character, and I can see a lot of people using her. I do, however, think that because she's very linear in her kit, she wants to just use Fury Brand, and then HP plus until she Fury Brands again, and then her skills are just really quite lackluster, but she does provide some nice party auras. The best character I can think of when it comes to this particular banner for both Wakka and for Aerith is Rosa. If you don't have Rosa, this banner is generally very appealing. If you do, it's a lot less so. The last thing I wanted to touch on with Aerith, however, is her sphere. I'm not going to lie to you, I kind of want Aerith for her sphere. And it's really bad because you should never pull for a character for their sphere alone. But her sphere is magic attack by 15% while you have HP. That is a lot from a sphere, like a hell of a lot. And the reason that I want this sphere is because I want it for when Kuja's LD and Burst turn up months and months away. And the other thing that you do need to work on when it comes to Aerith as well is her artifacts. Now, I've had a few people ask me to start mentioning artifacts in my videos, and I'm quite happy to do that. But with Aerith in particular, the ones that you're going to want are her Healing Wind, Charge, and Boost All. This is a very important one. If you're not going for best in slot, then make sure you at least get 3 of this, because the cursed artifacts are real, and they're a pain in the backside. But with Aerith, they raise party max bravery by 15% each, and they increase her Healing Wind use count. it's really important that you get these. And then secondary, I would say that her attack 108 is the next best thing that you would hope for, just to make sure that her HP attack is dealing as much as possible. And a lot of her stuff scales off her attack as well. So ideally, attack 108 and healing, wind, charge, and boost all. But as long as you get the boost alls, that's all that really matters for her. Now, Wakka is a particularly peculiar party member after he gets his rework and his EX and his realization. Wakka goes from trying to be like a weird debuffer to going full-on support at this point. So he gets like 4 hits on Dark Attack, which is a little bit low by today's standards. You get Blind out of it though, which is still useful, and it has a guaranteed HP attack. He gets a Brave Attack Plus, which is kind of nice. But if you start looking at his like Crystal 58, Crystal 68, they're all party auras, which is actually pretty nice. You'll often find that a lot of people will either undersell Wakka, because Wakka's not a particularly popular character in general, or they'll oversell him because of the fact that he has these really strong auras. So hopefully I could try and explain to you the reasons that I think he's good, but I don't think he's necessarily worth going out of your way for. But Great Daring, like the buffs that he gives himself are insane. Like he buffs his stats over by up to 120% each, so that's max brave, attack, initial brave, everything. His stats go through the roof when you use Great Daring, but it's just an HP attack after it. It doesn't actually do all that much for him apart from giving him some bravery. And party batterying is kind of nice, but there's a lot of characters that can do that. And then his Dark Attack it's novel and it's useful, but it's not going to hit especially hard. The best thing to do with Wakka, and we'll get to this when we get to his EX as well, is to shift your focus when it comes to Wakka. Don't expect him to be a massive damage dealer, because he isn't one. What he is, however, is an actually pretty potent support character, and that is very, very, very apparent when it comes to his EX. So Attack Reels is a really interesting EX attack. It's a 3-hit Brave HP attack that hits 4 times. Now, I obviously very much enjoy any multi-hitting move. It is single target though, so that's something that you need to keep in mind as well. It increases allies' bravery, so it batteries everybody by a random amount, where between 100% and 200% of his attack. This isn't as bad as it sounds. Yes, it's random, but there's no bad mode for this. There's no like Excalibur hitting for ones. There's none of that. It's still going to batter your party a decent amount regardless. And it also gives a frame buff called Captain's Order, which, as you can see here, raises party's initial bravery by 30%, max bravery and attack by 20%, and gives everyone brave regen as well. Once you put in Power Stones, it increases its recast rate. It makes Captain's Orders last for long enough that you'll never really have to worry about it running out. So it becomes a pretty fast recasting attack. So then, when you put ingots into it, when you put a book into it, it just gets 90% brave potency. It just becomes stronger, and then it will increase his stats a fair amount. His 2 out of 3 is quite useful here because it gives him all of his buffs that are huge from Great Daring at the beginning of the fight, and it also fills his EX gauge to max. So that's always a nice thing to see on a character like Wakka. And then with 3 out of 3. Attack Reels becomes AoE, and it becomes split damage across the board, which is much nicer than single target. It also has a 60% chance of activating another frame buff called Attack Reels. Now, Attack Reels increases party attack by 40% and increases all overflow by 20%. So this is actually very strong. So when you use this, if you have it in combination with all the other buffs that he has, so Captain's Orders 20%, his C65 gives another 10%, his C68 is 10%, his C58 is 20%, and then Attack Reels is 40% as well. That's a massive amount of attack power that you're giving to your party. That's like Rosa levels, if not more so. So that's actually very, very nice to have as well. He also does get an HP attack plus, which he sorely needs as well. So that's something that he'll get, and it raises party bravery based on the HP damage dealt. It's a fairly standard fare for an HP attack plus at this point, but it is pretty useful to have. So realistically, if you're starting with his attack reels and you're wanting to make sure that you get the attack reels buff, because he starts with his EX, you could even consider resetting so that you make sure that you definitely get it. It's not ideal, and the fact that there's RNG involved with an EX like this is going to put off a lot of people. But the buffs that he provides are so strong that they're probably worth it. The issue I have with Wakka is that his kit doesn't seem to really know what he wants to be. He's a little bit of a debuffer, he's a little bit of a damage dealer with a terrible hit count outside of his EX. His buffs auras are actually very strong, but he's just kind of a little bit all over the place. It's a similar feel to how I felt about Caius. The problem I have with characters like Wakka is, why pull for a character that is occasionally very good when you could pull for a character that's absolutely bonkers later? So that again, similar to Aerith, I liken Wakka to Rosa. Rosa has equally as powerful buffs with much more consistency involved in them. She still does a decent amount of damage. Like, Wakka's damage is good, Wakka's damage is probably slightly better than Rosa's, but Rosa's damage is good enough that you won't really have to worry. Her 665 increases Brave Overflow even more than she already gets because of her Miraculous Arrow. There's a lot to... If you already have Rosa, then Wakka is significantly less appealing. However, Wakka and Aerith are both good enough that I would say that if you're lacking in supports, then this banner may actually be more worthwhile than it looks. And of course, to top it off with Wakka, in terms of artifact passives, he's actually very simple. He doesn't have anything that he desperately needs. He doesn't have a C50 that he needs to buff. So just going with attack 108 and max brave 330, like many characters that don't have any specific needs when it comes to their artifacts, is going to be the way to go. But honestly, I'd say that max bravery and attack are equally as important as each other, as long as you get those, because let's face it, who wants to farm for perfect artifacts? As long as you get one or the other, you're normally fine. So that brings us to the ultimate question for this banner then, doesn't it? Should you pull for either Kuja or Sabin, or Aerith and Wakka? In terms of Kuja and Sabin's banner, the reason I didn't speak about their banner in any particular way is because honestly they're so dated at this point. Like, Sabin has wind damage in his kit, and that's the only thing that you're really going to get out of it. Kuja, as much as he is my favourite character in all of Final Fantasy, he's going to have to wait a little while longer before he's going to be useful in any way, shape or form, realistically. Compared to damage dealers of this day and age, he definitely falls behind. But if you wanted to get his EX ready for his Eldian burst later, I guess you could do that, but I wouldn't recommend it because his EX will be featured then again anyway. And if you know, to be honest, this banner's just not very strong. It's old, it's dated, it's not worth your resources. And then with Wakka and Aerith, this is a little bit harder. Now, I would generally recommend against pulling on this banner, despite the fact that I think that Aerith and Wakka are both very good. If you already have Aerith, which is quite likely, she has been featured multiple times on banners, then you have no reason to pull on this banner. Like, Wakka is good, but he's not needed. He's very similar to like Caius and things like that. He's a very undervalued character, and he does bring some really powerful auras and buffs to the table, and a nice amount of damage from attack reels, but nothing particularly special. But what he does provide is strong, but he's not mandatory. If you're low on support units generally, then yes, this banner is probably worth you pulling on. If you don't have access to like Rosa or Selphie or Hope or Penelo or any other major support character, then yes, this banner is probably worthwhile for you. But I think that saving ingots up for next month is really important, and I think that because we have a summon board here where you can get ungodly amounts of tickets and gems and things like that, then I think that you could save that for a much stronger banner. Like, this is a good banner, but like I said earlier, why pull for a good character when you could pull for a great one later? Aerith, I personally may throw a few tickets at this banner because I have a large amount of resources, and I really would quite like to get Aerith's EX purely for the sphere later down the line, but I'm not going out of my way for either Aerith or Wakka because of their own kits. Aerith is nice because of the Brave Overflow that she provides and the fairly strong HP attack that she has, and Wakka provides really nice auras while also bringing Blind along and things like that that should help, but neither one of them is hugely mandatory. So that's going to be it for this video. Stay tuned for the rest of the week for Twitch to see me either play through Diablos' summon board, or play through DE once again, or play through my offline mode again as well. I'm also going to be documenting my offline mode experience on YouTube as well, so that I can give like highlights from those streams and stuff like that, because I think it will actually help a lot of new players in order to kind of navigate where they should go first and how they should go about getting the resources in order to pull as late as possible. I think it was actually a very fun experiment. And realistically, you actually don't need to pull at all for a large portion of the game. And then I'm also going to be giving you guys videos on how to clear all of Dimension's End, as well as Diablos' Chaos as well, throughout the next couple of weeks. So thank you ever so much for joining. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.